Hello and welcome to Meanwhile in the Falklands. I'm Oliver Thompson and I'm joined by...
And I'm Kyle Nappett. Unfortunately, it's only the two of us at the minute because Hannah is busy in the background editing, but she's promised that she'll join us in just a little bit when she's pressed go on everything that needs to be pressed go on.
No problem though, we've got Jaffa cakes here, we've got a cup of tea,
Exactly.
We're all sorted.
And the reason we've got Jaffa cakes and we've got a few more biscuits in the office is because the marvellous Mr. Steve Foames is back.
Yeah.
And he was straight in our office yesterday with handfuls of biscuits and handfuls of shortbread and stuff. So the biscuit drought is over.
So we're all sorted now.
We finally got snacks again, which is probably terrible for our general health. But I'm not going to complain too much because he got the chocolate fingers, and I hardly ever have those.
Is that your favourite biscuit?
Well, I don't know if it's my favourite, but it's pretty good.
It's like, what about these Jaffa cakes? I'm like my absolute favourite.
See, I'm not a big fan of Jaffa cakes. I don't know how I feel about that.
Anyway, but let's talk about me and you have been really busy this
Yes,
week.
we have.
Being out doing loads and loads of stories, finding out so much, but none other than the demining project that me and you went to.
That was really interesting, actually, because that was... so for those of you that don't know, the Falklands is currently... It's got a few mines around the place that have been left over since the 1982 war. And they've been slowly removing them over a period of years. And I think they're just on like the very, very final phase of the project now. So they're clearing out York Bay at the minute and a couple other places, but they're almost done. So the government in the Falkland Islands is obviously very, very grateful for all the deminers and for Safe Lane for coming down and doing all this great work. So they've got a whole rack of events lined up to say thank you to them. And it all kicked off on Monday when they had a reception at the town hall where all the deminers were down. So were like the MLAs, and so was the governor, and so was like people from the community, who'd all gathered to say thank you for the deminers for cleaning up these islands and giving everyone access to the beaches and different areas again.
It is a massive thing, really, because I've only been here a month. I mean, you've been here a bit longer.
Yeah.
But for the first time, at the end of 2020, for the first time, people under the age of 38 will be able to live in a mine-free Falkland Islands, which is quite a big...
It's a bit mind-blowing, isn't it, when you think about that? Because obviously there'll be people who have grown up here their entire lives and never been able to go to like York Bay or Surf Bay and that kind of thing. And it's just mad. Like that's one of the things because MLA Leona Roberts stood up and gave a speech where she was saying that before the war she'd be able to go down to the Stone Corral with her mum and like have picnics out there. And then after the war happened, that was all locked off behind the barbed wire because it was a minefield. And like the joy she felt when she could finally get back out there and finally get back out onto Surf Bay and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's really gonna change things in the islands a bit and make people a bit more free and able to go where they want to go and not have to worry about the dangers of it.
Absolutely, and it was one of your first stories as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually.
You were filming a bit about that.
It was.
So you've done... Oh yeah, go on, I'll let you.
No, that's cool. One of my first stories was going down to... I can't remember the name of it now, but it was the beach that's behind what used to be Backtech. That's the only way that I know of it. But yeah, they were doing some demining down there and blowing up some of the mines that they'd collected. And God, they're so loud.
Yeah.
So loud. And you can really feel it when they go off as well. So it's lucky that they're actually being safely disposed of instead of someone unfortunately stepping on them or something like that.
Well, it's quite it's a very difficult job, isn't it, to do it?
It is a very difficult job.
Especially you have to dig I mean, I think it was, 12,000 mines totally cleared, anti-personnel mines.
Something like
millions of square metres of land kind of cleared up. It's an amazing achievement, really.
Yeah, it really, really is. But I'm really interested now because obviously York Bay is over by Gypsy Cove, and Gypsy Cove is where all the penguins and stuff are. And once all that beach is cleared out, it's one of the best beaches near Stanley. And once that beach is cleared out, it'll be really interesting to see if there's like a shift of people going from Surf Bay or going over to York Bay. And now Surf Bay will be the one that's really quiet and you can go to, and there's no one there. And York Bay might be the busier one. So I think that'll be interesting to see how that change unfolds.
Well, we can actually go to York Bay and actually see it. Well, by the end of the year, hopefully. So. Fingers crossed. But also, we were at the Guyana delegation, which has done really, really well on YouTube. So
yes.
Got quite a few views.
Wonderfully edited by Olly Thompson.
Stop it, you. No, it was, like I say, it's got quite a lot of views, so a lot of interest.
Yeah.
People have made a few comments as well, just walking around about the delegation. So that was a good video. We were doing that as well, both of us filming.
We're doing our jobs properly. It's getting people watching, which is always
brilliant. And this week you've also been in a police car. You're quite excited for that.
I have been in a police car, not for Mrs. Foams, if you are listening. It wasn't for any illegal activities. I was escorted to the police station by one of the lovely inspectors, because he was telling us all about the police survey they're about to do, and he'd come up to the office and said, "Oh, do you want to go do the interview now, and I'll take you down in the police car?" And I went, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So a couple of weeks ago I was in a fire engine, and now this week I was in a police car. So I'm hoping by the end of my time here, I'll be able to be in an ambulance as well. And
for good reason.
And hopefully it won't be because I've broken my arm or something. But I kind of want to feel like I have to get the trilogy now, get all the emergency services, and then after that I can attempt to get into like the search and rescue helicopter or something. So, it's all coming together slowly.
It's part of your ever extended bucket list.
Part of my extended bucket list. But no, so I went down to talk to the police about the survey they're doing, which is they're sending out this survey to the residents of Stanley in the Falklands. Just to say, hey, what do you think about the job that we're doing? What feedback do you have? Do you think we're doing a good job? Do you think we're doing a bad job? How can we improve? That kind of thing. And they're looking for responses, and I think because they recently had an independent review, and I think they came out quite well from that. So I think now they're just kind of trying to go back to the community and say, what other areas can we improve on, and how can we better serve you as a community, which is pretty good.
And that piece is on this week.
That piece is on this week. Brilliant. So yes.
And me and you also we ended our journalism careers for a few minutes, and we was doing a bit of acting.
Yes, we were. Yes, we were. Marvellously acted, I must say.
So, for people that wasn't aware, we was helping out film for the Falkland Islands holiday, and me and Kyle had to pretend. You might see it, have a bit of cameos on it, but me and Kyle pretended to be tourists.
Yes.
So we had to get changed in proper tourist gear. And walk along into the Falkland Islands holiday van.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
we had to get our cameras round our necks. And Olly went home and put on his cap and put on his summer T-shirt and all sorts. So that was very interesting. We were giving these information packs that were supposed to be for these French tourists. So we were like Felipe or Philippe for a day. That was interesting. I've not done a lot of acting, although I suppose a lot of the on-camera stuff we do here is kind of like acting. I'm going to say that. I am a local celebrity now.
I need to. You've had this all week.
Build my repertoire, if you will.
But hey, and also you were about the coronavirus as well. You were doing stuff about that.
So speaking of the emergency services, if we backtrack a little bit. I was actually at the hospital this week because I was speaking to the Chief Medical Officer, Becky Edwards, about the coronavirus that is currently in the news a lot internationally. I think people are in a bit of a panic about it because the city of Wuhan in China has been put on lockdown basically. So people are a bit worried about what this virus is and if it's spreading and how bad is it and everything. But the interesting thing that Becky was telling me is that the coronavirus that is currently everyone's so worried about currently has a lower mortality rate than seasonal influenza. So it doesn't sound like it's something you should be overly concerned about. Obviously, if you are feeling unwell or are worried about it, you should contact the hospital and stuff. But it's maybe not quite something that people in the Falklands that they should be panicking about because the Falklands is fairly isolated from the rest of the world just based on geography, and because of that, it's probably unlikely that coronavirus would come down here, but the hospital is kind of taking steps to go, okay, in the case that this does happen, what should we do? How should we be prepared? Which is good. It's always, as I say, it's always better to prevent than cure. So
yeah, it's still very important, especially
exactly.
Considering the Falkland Islands, there's a lot of tourist cruise ships coming to the islands. So it's always good to see how it could be prevented. And did she mention at all how it could be prevented? Or?
Well, she was saying mainly just kind of obviously, like you say, this is tourist season, and because of that, with all the new people in the islands, the amount of illness tends to go up a little bit, just because if there's new people here, they'll probably be bringing colds and stuff with them, and other people will get them. So just general kind of wash your hands, don't try to sneeze on people, that kind of thing. And if you are feeling unwell and you do think that you've got a virus or something like that, just phone the hospital, get their advice. don't go into the hospital, because the last thing you want to do is go into the hospital and then give someone else a cold or something else like that. So yeah, phone up for some advice, and then the hospital will advise you as what to do.
And then you were also doing stuff with the Red Ensign group
Yes,
as well,
I was.
which is quite interesting.
Yes, I was. So the Red Ensign group is... let me remind myself of this. The Red Ensign group is basically... It's basically like... so it's like the UK and 13 other territories, overseas territories for the United Kingdom, that form the Red Ensign group. And they basically discuss and manage maritime issues, so stuff around ports and stuff around like what kind of laws and regulations should there be around shipping, and what kind of stuff should be like pollution-wise, like what should ships be doing and that kind of thing. So for the second time ever, the Red Ensign group are coming to the Falklands. I think they were first down here in like 2005.
Oh wow! Okay.
And now they're back again under the invitation of Mr. Clislock, who is the harbour master down here in the Falklands.
And you got an interview with him as well.
I did get an interview with Clislock, which is interesting. I've never interviewed Clis before, but he was quite good. He was he's very passionate about his ships. Every time I talk to him about anything maritime related, he seems to really know his stuff.
Yeah.
And I think he's quite excited that they've actually come down. So that's good. So they've got like a whole week-long conference going on next week, where they're going to be talking about all kinds of things, from shipping to pollution to laws and blah 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 blah. It's all a bit too technical for me, because I don't know. Other than that a ship floats, I don't really know much about ships.
Oh, that's essential, isn't it? Really,
that's the thing. That's what you need to know. But yeah, so they're coming down here for their whole week-long conference, and I think next week we should be able to go down and film the opening ceremony. And I think they've got a little bell that they ring as part of that. So I think we'll get a few shots of that as well.
Is that like the traditional thing then? Because I know that some boats or ships kind of hit a champagne bottle. I don't know whether that's another thing or whether.
Well, I don't think they'll have a champagne bottle, but I think it's a traditional thing for the Red Ensign group, where like the bell follows it along to whatever country's hosting the conference that year. Okay. So there's a short video on their website of Clislock ringing the bell and saying, "Oh, it's coming to the Falklands this year," and I think the chairman will be ringing the bell while they're down here as part of the opening ceremonies to be like, the Red Ensign Group conference commences or something like that.
So it's quite big then, in the industry. Then
I think so. I think it's fairly well known if you're part of the shipping and maritime world. Not that I am.
Not yet. No, maybe we will see. Brilliant, and we're quite busy as well. We've got a lot coming up. So this weekend or tomorrow, we do have the Government House Gardens Open Day, which first ever time for myself.
Yes, we do.
Is it first time for you as well?
I think I've been into the Government House Gardens before.
Oh, right, okay.
Briefly, and I think I've seen some of the polytunnels and bits and pieces that they've got. But yeah, that'll be interesting, because everyone always says about how nice the produce is from Government House, and all the fruit and vegetables, and the grapes especially. So I think it'll be good. And it's always nice to go down to Government House, because it's such a beautiful building and such a beautiful kind of area that it's in. That, you know what, I could spend a morning there going through the gardens, and we should probably bring a book and like sit around like philosophers in the garden going, life. What does it mean?
I think we need to sort out our FITV polytunnel. We need to sort that one out and get a few produce.
Well, you need to start your tomato plant.
I do, I need to get that.
You've been promising that since you got here, and I'm yet to see any tomato plants sprouting.
It will be there soon. It will be there. I just need to. Well, that's why I'm going. A bit of research.
Oh, I see.
To get a bit
Getting
of
some
advice.
top tips from the gardeners.
Brilliant.
Oliver's green thumb is sprouting finally.
One day. But yeah, and then also we've got Steve's going away to the NPC rugby.
Yes,
filming
he
a bit
is.
of that.
Yes.
Which is between Stanley and the military as well. So that's going to be an interesting.
It's part of the Dragon Cup. I don't know how they landed on the name the Dragon Cup, because it sounds very, very
epic, doesn't
intense
it?
and epic. Yeah. Yes, it does. Which is probably why they chose it. But I don't know if there's actually a reason behind it, or maybe it's got something to do with Wales. I don't know. But yeah, that was exciting. Like you say, Steve's going on up to that.
Yeah.
I think Steve should take part. I think he should join the rugby team, and
I think he'd be pretty good at it.
Yeah, I think he'd be all right. I think he would.
To be fair, on Sunday, this is going to be a big event for more for yourself as well, because it is the Spinners and weaving at the museum. So
Yes,
obviously
it
you're
is.
experienced at spinning and weaving.
I'm
so.
such an as Mrs. Foams knows, and as I have demonstrated for her on this very podcast, I know everything about knitting and weaving and crocheting. I know the hand movements. I know the different yarn. I don't know anything. This is all.
No, you made a square. You made a square.
I weaved a square once, and I also knitted a row once. And then someone came over and went, "Who knitted this? This is bad." And I went, "Me." And then they went, "Oh, it's okay. It's good for the beginner." I was like, "Okay, sure." But yes, the spinners and weavers will be down at the museum, spinning and weaving as they do. And I think there's a ITV film crew coming down to film them as well as part of. I don't know what it's part of, but it seems terribly interesting. We might have to go down and do a cheeky bit of networking as well, and say, "Hello, this is FITV. How can we help you out?"
Absolutely,
Which will be perfect. And then
in terms of sports as well, after that there's the Stanley Cup, which is to do with the golf on Friday.
yes, later that week there is the Golf Cup. Now, do you know anything about golf, Ollie?
Crazy golf. I'm all right at that, and maybe mini golf. And there's this thing that we had back at home called foot golf.
Foot golf.
Yeah, and what it is, it's football and golf put together. So you can, rather than like hit a ball with a club, I think it's a club. Yeah, it is a club, isn't it?
Club.
You kick it with a football. It's like football and golf put together, and you have to try and get the football into like a big hole on a golf course.
Is it the same way as golf? Like, you know how when you go play golf, you've got your 12 different golf clubs, or whatever.
Yeah.
When you go there, do you have to change your shoes out constantly to like?
That's
Okay,
a good
so
idea.
this one's
idea.
like a chipper. This one's like a proper. I don't even know. That's the only golf club I know the name of, and
There's a
it
driver,
probably isn't even light.
a putter,
A driver, the putter,
a wedge.
a wedge.
That's as far
So
as
you
I
do know about golf.
I know a little bit, but like not too much. But yeah, we only played with a couple of friends. But in response to your question, no, I don't really know much about golf. Brilliant.
But yes, so we'll be going down to the Golf Cup, and I've never filmed a golf tournament before, so it's going to be an interesting challenge.
No,
And like I say, because my granddad's such an avid golfer, I've spent many a day watching golf tournaments on the TV, and it always seems to be a lot of just blue skies as they like try to follow the ball wherever it's going, and it's like, oh look, and there's the ground, and I guess the ball's over there. I don't know.
But I mean, here there must be the wind element, surely, because it's very, very windy in the Falklands.
I don't understand how people can golf. Like, there is a golf course.
Yeah.
But based on the wind alone, I don't know if they've got some special techniques that they use, or if maybe the golf course is just shielded. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, purely from how they handle the wind, what it's going to be like. But no, it should be good.
Yeah, it
should be good.
And then we've also got a relay walk as well.
Yes, we do.
Which is on next Saturday.
Yes.
On the 8th. So that's going to be interesting. It's quite sporty, isn't it?
Lots
Quite a lot of
sport.
activities.
Although the relay walk is done by the fire crews based up at NPC and the fire service that's based in Stanley. And they're starting out from NPC and walking all the way to Stanley. And they're doing it as a relay, so they'll get to a certain point and swap out with someone else, and they'll go to a certain point. You know, like how a relay works. But they're going to be doing it in their full fireman's kit and have breathing apparatus on their backs and all sorts. So God knows how they're going to get on with that. Although they are all terribly fit, because you have to be in the fire service. But God, and I think they're all in training for it a little bit. So that should be good. It'll be interesting to see how well they do.
It's quite a serious thing for them.
It is quite a serious thing.
Whereas, for me, I think I'd be a bit, perfect to be behind the camera.
I think I don't know if I'd be able to pull that off. I'd probably be able to walk a little bit, just wearing my normal clothes, but in all that fireman gear, God knows.
Well, me and Hannah went down to the HMS Force.
Yes.
And like I said, I was hollered in to wear the fire suit, and it's incredibly heavy.
I know.
And especially having to run around with it on, and with all the tanks and things.
Yeah.
Is a very heavy, bit of equipment. So
God knows how they're going to be doing that walk.
Didn't they do like a fire pulling a fire engine?
Yeah, they did a fireman's pull, but they weren't in their full gear. They were just kind of wearing their trousers and their shirts and stuff. So I think they weren't so bad then.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. But then the other thing that's happening next week, and it's a big thing for the islands as well, I imagine. But there's the UK ambassador to Brazil is visiting the islands.
Yay.
So there's a government house reception for them, and he's also going to follow us about for the day, and shadow us and see how we work and what we do.
I think we've got a super busy day that day.
Super busy day.
Keep us all on our toes.
I don't know. I think it's going to be very strange having someone shadow us, especially like an ambassador, who's someone who seems very official and very high up. So I'm a little bit nervous about that, but hopefully we'll be able to keep him entertained and keep him well informed about the importance of FITV and the things that we do, and maybe we'll even be able to sell him a subscription. So, you know.
Who knows, maybe. Fingers crossed. And I think finally on our magical list of things that we've been up to, so we've been doing stuff, loads of stories that we've got involved in. We've done our acting career.
Yes, we have.
And we've also been behind the bar and been heavy lifting as well. So
yes.
For Burns Night.
we're all feeling very, very buff and very, very kind of muscly now, because we've been carting booze up and down the town hall steps for the past few days, last weekend.
Yeah.
But that was all in aid of the Burns Night celebration that we did, and I think it went marvellously well.
I think so too, yeah.
Everyone seemed to have a lot of fun.
And you even managed to have a go at some of the traditional Scottish dancing
as well.
Yes, I
did. I did. I was put out onto the dance floor and danced with lovely Elliot Vincent, and I felt really bad for him. So Elliot always gets on the dance floor at these kinds of things, and he always has a great time. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to have a bit of a dance. And we did the waltz together. And I didn't know any of the steps.
Right.
So he was telling me how to do them, and then I was forgetting them because I was focusing on where my feet were. And it would come round again to looping round to the next bit of steps again. And I was like getting it long and blah, and it was a mess. It was a mess. And I apologised in case I stepped on anyone's toes. But no, I think overall, apart from my dancing, the Burns Night went really, really well. Everyone seemed to enjoy themselves. The food was amazing. I've never had haggis before, and I'd had that for the first time, and it was absolutely delicious. So hats off to the chefs at the Malvina.
Absolutely.
And
the brownie, because me and you sat with each other for eating the brownie, and that was so nice.
That was interesting, because they did like a bit of a deconstructed Mars bar kind of thing.
Oh, sorry, that was it. Not
a chocolate bar with like a bit of caramel on top and a bit of nougat and all that kind of thing. Yeah. It was absolutely delicious. And I realised after we'd eaten it, the sorbet in the middle.
Yeah.
It was iron blue. It was an iron blue sorbet.
Ah, okay.
So it was all properly Scottish.
Ah, nice.
And you know what? The food was great. The speeches were excellent, especially like Sterling giving the toast to the haggis, and Nicholas the pie from the lassies, and Ian Copland's toast to the lassies as well. Absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Perfect. All in the spirit of Burns, which is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it went well, and I'm happy with how it went.
Yeah, like I say, we were there from early on in the day, carting, making everything look nice, and putting all the tables out.
Doing all the finishing touches.
Exactly,
moving napkins so they were perfectly
You did origami,
placed.
didn't you? Oh, well, we'll say origami, but
I'll take credit for it. They did come pre-packaged like that, but I will take credit for folding the napkins. But
but would you celebrate it next year? Because obviously next year you'll be in...
I don't know. I don't know if I would. I don't know. Firstly, I don't think anyone back at least where I'm from, would really know what Burns Night is. And while I am half Scottish, I've never really done any Scottish celebrations or anything like that. So I don't know if I would. I think, and plus, how can you compare to what we did this year? Nah, I think maybe if I get invited to a Burns Night, I'll be like, okay, I know what that is. I'll go. That's a bit of fun, but we shall see.
The benchmarks are high. Okay, brilliant. We'll leave it there then.
Yeah, unfortunately, Hannah couldn't join us because I think she's very, very busy at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's just the two of us. But you know what? I think we did slightly better without Hannah anyway. So.
Well, fair enough. We'll definitely leave it on that note. But
exactly.
So we'll definitely leave it there. So thank you very much for listening to this week's episode of Meanwhile in the Falklands. You can catch us on the television. On what channel was it?
We are still figuring out what channel it is. It's one of the 800s. If you're subscribed in the Falklands, just search the 800 channels and you'll probably find us. But if you're overseas and you have an internet connection, you can find us on fitv.co.fk, where you can subscribe. It's a whole year's worth of shows for 60 quid a year, so it's an absolute bargain. You'd be a fool not to do it. And if you want to find more episodes of our podcast, Meanwhile in the Falklands, they are uploaded weekly to YouTube and SoundCloud, so you can find us there.
Brilliant. And that's left for us to say, see you later.
Bye-bye.